Dr. Leslie Eliuk comes with decades of experience. Representing GeoTours Consulting Inc., he is a semi-retired former exploration geologist with Shell Canada and holds a PhD from Dalhousie University, earned in 2016, which focused on the Jurassic Cretaceous carbonate platform shaped by the major Sable Delta. Trips like these reflect the dedication and time Les devoted to completing his PhD. Nowadays, Les joins Takeo Koenig on field trips exploring the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event, or tertiary to the traditionalists. These excursions take him close to his roots, not far from his first summer job as a student paleontologist, collecting dinosaur shoulder blades near Trochu, Alberta, just north of Three Hills. Like Takeo, Les is a graduate of the University of Alberta and is recognized as an honorary member of the Canadian Energy Geoscience Association, CEGA, formerly CSPG. Though Les's career and contributions primarily unfolded within Canada, his passion for geological exploration remains unwavering.
This site, south side end of the Black Hills of South Dakota, in a place called Hot Springs. And I don't know if some of you remember, I can't remember what the name of the chap was, but we were going to actually get a talk in February from a curator at this museum, and he was going to tell us all kinds of neat stuff. And so I was really keen to come to it, and then it got canceled. So I will show you not the background or the details, but I'll show you what you can see if you happen to get to this place. So this is, I don't know whether that's the latest. I think I may have got that off Google or maybe the picture I took. I can't remember. So this is where you can find out more information if you Google hot or the Mammoth site, which is what they call that in the hot spring. I don't know why I have tickets, but anyway, that was taken off their website. It is a foundation. What happened is, you can see it's, what is it? About 1,500 kilometers southeast of Calgary. And you can see you go through the Black Hills to get there. You can see where Hitchcock got shot in the back, or whatever he got that in by, in Deadwood. Anyway, and you end up in a place called Hot Springs. We never actually went to the Hot Springs. I understand they're still going. And the story behind it was that there was a developer, nice hill, and he was going to do a subdivision in the town. And his cat skinner bulldozer driver started digging out tusks of dinosaurs, sort of something like that, but even bigger. And so he called the boss, and he thought, well, I better see if there's somebody who knows about this. So I think we got hold of paleontologists in some of the local universities, and they were just all over the place. And so the question was, the chap said, well, you could sort of take about one by one and sell the stuff. It's your property. And they don't have rules like we do in Alberta about things that are dug up belong to the province or the nation. Anyway, but he said, what you could actually do is maybe put a building over it and have a site. And it took a while for them to put a building over, but that's what they eventually did. The developer just sold the land back to the guys or gave it. I don't know quite what that part worked like. And over a couple, 3 years, they decided to collect enough money and made a building that is sort of like that, nice outside appearance of the building, sort of the size of a hockey rink, something like that. And that's it. And once you go inside, you can walk all around their excavating area, and you can see the folks in there taking a look in at what goes on. I think that you pay to go in because you pay to go into national parks. Cheaper than go to a hockey game by far, I think $20 or something like that. And what they kept on finding was more and more mammoths, mainly Columbian mammoths. And when we were there, they were sort of getting up to 54 of them. And now I think if you Google it, they're up into the 60 of them. What apparently happened is it was a hot springs, and the mammoths would wander into that, get mired, and end up probably over thousands of years, or certainly hundreds of years, ended up after layer of layer trapped in this stuff. And you can see they're all over the place, and you can see the skulls and the tufts in place, and the ribs. So this is what the dig looks like. And I don't know if you noticed in the first picture, they actually have cranes and they can move material out of the digging area and lift the bones up. They even have a little technology. I must have shut my camera when I took the picture, but if you go on the Wikipedia, they got a nice picture of mammoth footprints. Thinking dinosaurs and extinctions. This is our own extinctions from about 20,000 years ago or something like that. And they have both in the museum part of the building, they have the skeleton and, of course, the model of it, something like what you can see in the final diorama and display in the Terrell Museum. So mainly they're Columbian mammoths, and you get a few woolly mammoths, and you get a lot of smaller things. And what you also get is the short-faced bear. That gives you an idea of the size of skulls. The thing on the far left is a black bear skull. You actually get a full-grown wolf, and compared to a black bear skull, the wolf skull is actually as larger. But if you go down the things, you can see the grizzly bear is somewhere in here. That's a grizzly bear here, or brown bear. And then cave bear, extinct. Kodiak bear is well fed on salmon. So if you eat whales, you get big. And so they're big. And a polar bear is fairly big as well. But you look at the short-faced bear, and it's bigger yet. This is what it looks like for a full-size mock-up of the skeleton, and my hand there was the size of the skull they had on display. One thing I was thinking about that is I don't think I had it, but I think on the bottom I said, on this one, I said maybe extinction isn't all bad, because I don't know if I'd want to be running around with that. In fact, there's some behaviors to believe the nastiness of grizzly bears is actually a response to having lived with this thing for a while and deciding the best defense is an offense. As well, they had models of the fact that the Paleolithic man lived with mammoths and hunted off them. In fact, the earliest types of arrowhead points in North America are much larger than normal. They're spear points and so on for handling animals this big and hunting them. In the Ukraine, apparently they found preservation of tent-like structures that were made from the mammoth bones and ribs and tusks and whatnot. There's a preparation laboratory, and that's, I hope someday we'll get the experts and learn something in more detail. One thing I did learn that if some of you have been watching nature shows, you probably know elephants are actually, the herds are matriarchally led by an old female who knows all kinds of stuff. And once the males get old enough to be interested in females, they get them run out of the herd. And so they wander around like teenagers do. And guess what? I don't know if it's really true, because I don't know if they've looked at the hip bones and how you sex a mammoth. But apparently, as far as they've said, all the mammoths that ended up in that hot spring, and it's a hill, the reason it's a hill is the bones kept it there, but also got more cemented up. So what had been a sink and a low place with warm water in it, attracting the animals in, like the La Brea tar pits attracted animals in, especially predators trying to eat off the stuff that got mired in it. Young male mammoths were they haven't found any females, they claim. I don't know whether they got lady archaeologists or paleontologists, I swear. But anyway, not surprising, because they are kicked out of the herd, and if you don't have a good instructor, you get into trouble. And it looks like they got a lot of, over the years, got a lot of mammoths that got into trouble. So anyway, that's one way of becoming extinct. Usually one of the excuses for extinction of the large North American mammals is man, some of it's climate, and I'm sure there's other excuses as well, and we're going to hear probably all the excuses they've had for dinosaurs. Nobody's claimed that the meteorite did these guys in. They do kind of correspond with when man came into North America. Anyway, that's a warm-up. I hope it took less than 15 minutes. Looks like it did. So we'll hear about dinosaurs now, and how they get knocked off. The questions? Yeah, speak up loud, because even though I got hearing aids, I don't do very well.
I know that with African and Indian elephants, yes, they're matriarchal, but they're also so social. I'm wondering if they are putting that aspect onto our mammoth.
Maybe like trying to save each other when one gets stuck. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, hang out and try and save it.
But it was the guys who got into trouble, not the cows.
It's hanging out at 7-Eleven and so.
Yeah, yeah, no, they are. They're a wonderful animal. I'm sure these ones were too, except I don't. All the problem they have with agriculture in India and in Africa, we don't have it anymore. Yes.
In Africa, they have, so I've learned when I was small that elephants, they all go to the same place to die. It's like an elephant graveyard.
Right.
So how do you know that's not an elephant? How do you know that's?
I don't know. And there we go. Number 3 theory, right? Mammoths became extinct. I don't know. But if you think about the La Brea tar pits and something like this, it is a bit of an attractive site just to get warm. I mean, this was the Ice Age, and I guess it always amazes me, I think some of the furthest north of some of the primates, monkeys in Japan, and you see the snow coming all around, and they're staying warm in their little hot spring. And, it looks like a good idea as long as, the substrate doesn't let you sink out of sight.
Corey, you had,
That's a good comment. The whole elephant graveyard thing is actually a myth. So that doesn't actually happen. So that wouldn't be a reasonable conclusion for this site. I think what they sort of figured out is that, yeah, you have this very attractive hot spring site, nice water, warm, that sort of thing. It draws in these young males who don't know anything better. And that's where they die, that's where they chemo. Just purely accidentally. There's also a series of like gypsum sinkholes in Nova Scotia and Brunswick, where they found the remains of mastodons.
Yeah,
And every single one is a young male, as well as trapped.
Yeah, I don't know if those were as warm, but they do have salt that it dissolves, and you end up with sinkholes, right? There are usually with gravel pits, and if you watch some of these gold mining shows and things associated with them, a lot of the miners that are hydraulic or whatever way they're getting the stuff out are keep track of this stuff, and they ask paleontologists to come in and tell them, just like they do in the if you've been to the Toronto Museum recently, and they have one of the first exhibit is different ways they've acquired dinosaur remains, and some of it is in industrial recovery, and they just stop working and do a quick salvage job, call people up like you, and see what you can do before you get out of the way and they can make some money again. Put in plugs for books. Corey is supposed to be bringing up and updating a second edition of his stuff on Pleistocene, I guess the whole Pleistocene history of all kinds of creatures. So I don't know how long that is in the future, but so one day we'll have his book to look at too. Okay, well, we'll get on to the next thing. Oh, giving away stuff? No, there we go.
Here to page 3.